Tonight, our coverage as the United States warns Iran against retaliation following Israeli strikes. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Zahra Sayed. Foreign ministers from Canada, Australia, France, Germany, Japan, the Republic of Korea, and the United Kingdom have voiced grave concerns regarding legislation under consideration by the Israeli Knesset. This legislation aims to revoke the privileges and the immunities of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East. It restricts any contact between Israeli state entities and the agency. The agency plays a critical role in providing humanitarian aid and essential services to Palestinian refugees in Gaza, East Jerusalem, and the West Bank. The ministers in a joint statement are emphasizing that limiting the agency's operations could have devastating effects on an already dire humanitarian situation. They are urging that the Israeli government should uphold its international obligations and maintain the agency's privileges. They are also calling for the safe delivery of humanitarian assistance to those in need. A 40-year-old Canadian mother has died in Turkey after escaping a Syrian detention camp for ISIS suspects. The woman is identified as FJ. She was held in the El Roj camp for 5 years, and her children, 4 boys and 2 girls, were repatriated to Canada in May. Despite FJ's attempts to return, the Canadian government deemed her a security risk. FJ was recently acquitted in Turkey. Her lawyer is raising concerns about her sudden death just 2 days later and is calling for an autopsy. Human rights advocates and legal representatives are urging the government to investigate the circumstances surrounding her death. FJ's 6 children remain in foster care in Quebec, grieving the loss of their mother. Canada's Immigration Minister Mark Miller says the country remains an open country despite significant cuts to immigration targets. The Liberal government plans to reduce the number of new permanent residents from 485,000 to 395,000 next year. There will be further decreases in subsequent years. Miller says the shift is essential for managing migration effectively and relieving pressure on the housing market. He says a controlled system is necessary for both Canadians and immigrants to succeed. However, Miller says there is still hope for newcomers. Recent polls show a growing skepticism amongst Canadians regarding immigration. Experts say this change reflects a desire to prioritize Canadians in job and housing opportunities. Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 53 Palestinians in Gaza over the last 24 hours. Casualties include 5 journalists. This brings the total number of journalists killed since the start of the conflict to 182. Most killings occurred in the El Shati refugee camp, where an airstrike hit a school sheltering displaced families. Video footage circulating on social media shows people rushing to the bomb site to help evacuate the casualties. Separately, 20 people have been killed following an airstrike on houses in Jabalia. Jabalia is the largest of the Gaza Strip's 8 historic refugee camps. Reports indicate that Israel's 3-week-long military actions have claimed over 1,000 lives in northern Gaza. Half of the population has been forced to flee. The other half is trapped without essential resources. In Gaza, at least 42,924 civilians have been killed. 100,833 have been injured. Israel faces a genocide case at the International Court of Justice for its actions in Gaza. In Lebanon, the death toll from Israeli attacks has reached 2,672. 21 casualties have been reported on Saturday alone. The escalating violence has prompted Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to propose a 2-day ceasefire for the exchange of prisoners. The plan has been rejected by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian says while Tehran is not seeking war, it is prepared to respond appropriately to Israeli actions. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin has cautioned Iran against responding to Israel's recent airstrikes. The strikes have targeted Iran's military sites and have resulted in the deaths of 4 Iranian soldiers. During a conversation with Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, Austin has reaffirmed that the United States' commitment to Israel's security. Austin says the strikes should end the cycle of retaliation. He is advocating for a ceasefire in Gaza and safe returns for civilians along the Israel-Lebanon border. A U.S. defense official says that the U.S. is not involved in the strikes. However, he has warned Iran of consequences if it chooses to retaliate. Iranian military leaders have previously threatened a severe response to any Israeli aggression. Hezbollah has ordered the evacuation of residents from 25 Israeli settlements in northern Israel. The group claims these areas have become military outposts for attacks against Lebanon. This directive follows Israeli evacuation orders in Lebanon's southern regions, citing Hezbollah's military presence within the civilian homes. Hezbollah says Kiryat Shmona and Nahariya are now legitimate military targets for their air and missile forces. Following the warning, local councils have opted to suspend in-person schooling, shifting to online education instead. Hezbollah has reported conducting 48 military operations against Israeli targets. This surpasses earlier records. It has resulted in significant strikes against Israeli military assets, including tanks and vehicles. Canadian journalist Iman Kassam has exposed censorship related to Palestinian content at CTV News. In an article, Kassam says her report on the Wet'suwet'en protests led to unexpected backlash from Honest Reporting Canada. Honest Reporting Canada is a pro-Israel media watchdog. Although her overall coverage received praise, Kassam was subject to harassment because of a keffiyeh and a Palestinian flag in the coverage. In response to the ensuing pressure, CTV removed the story without explanation. This move prompted Kassam to resign in protest against what she calls censorship and a betrayal of journalistic integrity. Kassam says such actions not only silence diverse voices, but also undermine the very essence of journalism. She says journalism should be fearless and committed to the truth. She is calling for a renewed dedication to transparent, accountable journalism that stands up to powerful interests. Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow has unveiled an ambitious plan to ensure all 100 city libraries will operate 7 days a week by July 2026. Currently, many branches are closed on Sundays and Mondays. The proposed changes include extending Sunday hours at 33 branches and providing year-round Sunday service at 40 others. Starting July 2026, 9 branches will also see expanded Monday hours. Chow's initiative aims to enhance accessibility for families seeking activities on weekends. This expansion will cost an additional $8 million. This will increase 7% of the city's funding. This year's Art Toronto event at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre showcased the vibrancy of contemporary Canadian culture. The fair spanned over 200,000 square feet. It featured more than 100 galleries. Visitors were enlightened with a rich tapestry of artistic expression. A variety of works were on display. Notable works of art include Sami Sang's whimsical sculptures and Eddie Furman's thought-provoking installation, The Confessional, which confronts the legacies of racism. Emerging artist Lamar Robillard made his debut. The fair also introduced pieces by Bahamian textile artist Gio Swaby, whose work was also acquired by the National Gallery of Canada. The event concluded this past Sunday. Art Toronto serves as a dynamic hub for dialogue. It offers collectors and enthusiasts a unique opportunity to explore Canada's complex identity through its diverse art scene. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News Canada. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum.